For those who missed it, last Sunday we talked about loving our neighbor and about how hard it's become to love our neighbor when we are so politically divided. When the stakes seem so high, when the other side seems so illogical, when our values are so different. How do we love? This sounds impossible. Even more impossible, Jesus called us not just to love our neighbor, but our enemy also. Pray for those who persecute you. This was our message on the Sunday before the US election. This is our same message on the Sunday after the US election. Love one another and your neighbor as yourself. In this teaching moment, I want to do nothing more than repeat what you have heard before, what you've heard 1,000 times, because the message hits differently when the context changes. I'm going to guess that our congregations are a good reflection of the Canadian population in general, so some will be happy with the election results, but most are disappointed. Disappointed might be putting it mildly. Last Sunday, it felt like momentum was on Harris's side and that she would eke out a slim majority. In that context, for those who were opposed to Trump, loving your neighbor might have felt, difficult but possible. It was the charitable thing to do. Those poor Trump supporters would have some serious soul-searching to do after they lost, so we can be gracious. That was last Sunday. Today, the context is very different, but the call to love is the same. With the tables turned, it's much harder to feel gracious and charitable. But it is in this context that we face the real test to discipleship. Can we love as Jesus loved? Can you love when you're on the losing side? Can you still pray for your enemy and those who persecute you when the persecution starts to feel very real? I don't have any good advice on how to do that, only a reminder that we must. As followers of Christ, this is the commitment that we've made, the path we choose to walk. I remind you of your baptism. We die with Christ to be raised in new life with him. I remind you of his ministry, which was to preach good news to all people, including the scribes and the Pharisees and all those who opposed him. I remind you of his cross and his call to carry our own and follow him. As he forgave those who trespassed against him, so must we forgive and love those we feel have hurt us. Christ's love is a self-sacrificial love. We will get hurt. We choose to love knowing that we will get hurt. Those who may have supported Trump will feel that I'm being over the top here. No one's persecuting anyone. Well, I remind you that political commentators of all stripes consistently use the language of persecution. Whether that's justified or not, every side feels that they are the ones being harmed. This is the message for all Christians. I would affirm your feelings of being persecuted, but ask, what's next? What do we do in response to being persecuted? The world says that we should fight back, we should take up arms, we should go to war with our opponents, whether that's a war over territory, a war for the White House, or a war for culture. Fight, resist, defend. But I ask, what would Jesus do? What did Jesus do? When he was arrested, when he was falsely accused, when they whipped and mocked him, what did Jesus do? When his enemies nailed his hands to the cross and hoisted him up, when he saw the criminals on either side and the soldiers below him, what did Jesus say? Did he change his message? Did he call on the armies of angels to descend in his defense? Did he stop loving? Oh, this sounds impossible, I know. But this is how radical our love is meant to be, a self-sacrificing love. No matter what others might do, we remain the same. No matter what curses they shout at us, our message is the same. No matter what happens next, war or famine or the earth crumbling into the sea, our foundation of love doesn't move. We will not be shaken. In all things and in every context, we love, love, love. We love the Lord our God with all our heart, all our strength, and all our mind. We love our neighbors as ourselves. Every neighbor. Even those who vote differently. Amen.